Scratticus Academy. We are back with some Eberron, and I'm so excited for this. Sadly, Heavenly can't make it because obviously all the Thanksgiving stuff is going on right now, but please go and check out Heavenly. There are a few links that are going to be coming up in chat now. Please go check out the Discord. I mean, there isn't a room for this, but you can go shout about it in the Hickagard if you want. It's all good. Also, if you miss out on anything, you can go and catch up on YouTube. Otherwise, a huge thank you to our wonderful sponsors in the form of Hero Forge. Their Black Friday started yesterday. I warn you, if you go into the process of making your own minis, put aside at least 2 hours. It is obsessive, and so much detail is wonderful. If you use the code Scratticus, you get $5 off your first mini. So definitely head over there and look at that. Also, our other sponsor is Mage Hand Press, and you can pre-order the hardback copy of Dark Matter now. I love Dark Matter. It's D&D in space, and everyone needs that in their life. Otherwise, last but not least, we have the Deck of Many. Please go check out their Humblewood. It's one of the most beautiful, wholesome books I think I've ever seen, and also their moving spell cards, which is they're gorgeous as well. Otherwise, we get to use from this shiny pretty book today, which I'm not at all obsessed with lately. So thank you, Wizards, for that. Otherwise, let's head around. Let's just introduce our character names. Maybe if you want to reveal anything about them, go for it. Otherwise, we can describe what they look like in game, and also where we can find you and what awesome stuff you do. Oh, and I get to start again with the very lovely Hans. Oh, hi.
Oh, hi. Thank you. I appreciate being called lovely every week. It's really the only reason I show up for games. Yeah, so I'm playing Prescott. He's not going to go by that name during this game, and he's also not going to be described at all right now because I just want to point out that Alice has a Patreon, and then I'm going to let it move to the next person. So that's me.
Every time. Thank you. I need to remember. Also, thank you to Falcon of Venom and Drooper. Oh, hi. For that sub. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you. And also, Michael Wayne donates so that Hans and Katie get an advantage each before we even start. So thank you, Michael Wayne. And speaking of the lovely Katie, oh, hi. How are you?
Oh, hi. I'm very well. I'm excited to be here. It's my first time on the Scratticus Academy, so super excited about that. Hi, I'm Katie Quixotic. I'm on Twitter and Twitch mostly. I try to be funny on both places, so maybe I succeed, maybe I don't. I play a lot of D&D around. I tweet about it when I'm playing, so you can just find me there mostly and on my own channel. And I'm really excited, like I said. I'm going to be playing Zinnia. She's a human bard. She has long black hair and very bright blue eyes, and that's basically all you need to know about her.
Awesome, thank you. And then we're going to hop around again to Trooper. Oh, hi.
Oh, hi. Hello. I'm Trooper SJP, and you can find me at Trooper SJP on Twitch, where I try to play video games, but I'm mostly just distracted by chat for a really long time. But that's cool. And because, life. And you can find me at Academic Foxhole on Twitter. And I play all the RPGs, and I sort of run some solo RPGs on my channel, sort of 1v1. And I'll be doing something pretty big in 2020. So that'll be exciting, but it's a surprise. You can't know yet. You'll find out later. And I'll be playing Bone, who you will meet when we start.
Wonderful, thank you. And last but certainly not least, oh, hi, Sammy.
Oh, hi. I'm Sammy, Smallish Sam. I'm here on Thursdays at 10. Yep.
I've missed your intro so much.
Tonight I will be playing Dewey Pickett. And that's all. Back to you, Alice.
Wonderful, thank you. Ah, yes, I've missed those intros. So,
An infectious level of energy, if I've ever heard one.
Yeah, I love it so much. So, all of you have been walking this very, very long road, and you're on your way to the city of Sharn, the largest city in Corvair, and it's it's a little bit of a drizzly day. It's not sunny, it's not warm. It's that light rain, that mist that you get drenched, but you don't quite realize it until you step inside into the tavern or something like that, and you can see lots and lots of grassy plains surrounding you. And it's still about a day and a half walk to Sharn. It is a long road, but on the way you pass quite a few people. It doesn't seem to be like a quiet road. You see lots of travelers, lots of merchants. You can see a couple of orcs that are pulling along this huge wooden cart as it rumbles down the path, sort of kicking up the dust as it goes. And you do pass some of the floating, almost castle-like buildings that sit in the sky as they drift across the plains as the shadows sort of cast over you. Can I ask Prescott, what do you look like? And as you're heading to Sharn for this festival, why are you going to the festival?
That's such a good question. So Prescott's currently being known as the Baron Thrush, and he is wearing a black lacy open top. He's got a big black cloak on with the hood thrown back. The thing he's most upset about, though, is he has very nice boots with the tops turned down, and they are dusty because he is not accustomed to walking, or so he would tell you. So with that, he's going to the festival because he has business that he will be transacting.
It's not at all sketchy. Not at all.
Not at all sketchy. He's got a little bit of hair going back. He's got kind of a black head of hair. I think the picture that I stole from Pinterest that I'm using for this character, I think somebody took the doctor from Grey's Anatomy and then just made him a little green and gave him some little tusks. So he's got, he's quite a good looking orc. And yeah, that's about all I've got at this point. That's pretty much his defining personal characteristic.
McDreamy.
Yeah,
yes,
you're a
exactly.
dreamy half-orc.
That's right.
And you look down at your boots as they're covered in dust, and you see two riders sprint fast on their these almost like reptile dinosaur-esque mounts as they sprint past you, kicking up more and more dust, sort of splashing through some of these muddy puddles as it goes. It does miss you, but it's more that you have learned to move out of the way more than anything else. Otherwise, we're then gonna, what does Zinnia look like, and why is she on the road to Sharn?
Zinnia, she has her long black hair braided back and out of her face, although she does have bangs that sort of cascade around the front. She does have a crown of flowers around her head, and she, other than that, looks like she's in basic traveler clothes. She has the intention to change later on because she heard there was going to be a competition at the festival for musicians, and she plans to win it.
Perfect. Thank you. And we come around to Bone. What does Bone look like? Why is he? Why are they on this journey?
Bone is tall for an elf, so perhaps 5'8", 5'9" or so. And Z is very wiry, so not particularly beefy looking, sort of slim in a ropey sort of way. And Z has sort of no sort of distinguishing secondary sex characteristics and has really no gender or sex. Has got sort of blonde hair that's too long to be short, but too short to be mid-length. And is very, very, very pale, almost translucent, with sort of a light spattering of freckles. And Z's carrying sort of everything that he owns. So like a chain shirt with a long sword and a pack, a blanket. Z looks like Z are just sort of like a little bit like a hobo. Not exactly, but impeccably clean though. Everything about Bone is clean. The clothes are old and have clearly been worn, but but everything is pristine about them in a careful sort of way. And Z's quiet and sort of looking through these sort of bright purple eyes at everything around them. And Z's heading towards this festival because Z got a vision that it is time to rejoin people from decades in solitude.
And this is probably all quite, is this like new to him, seeing all these people rushing past? These look to be lots of carts and merchants, lots of people traveling backwards and forwards. You actually see what looks to be some sort of floating device as someone whizzes by above very, very quickly, sort of shouting orders down to the orcs that are currently running this cart forward.
Well, it's interesting because Z had been in society in the past growing up, but left that behind. And this is, it's been probably 40 years or so since Z's been away. And it's one of those things where there's a familiarity to this, but it's been a long time and all the fashions have changed. And her clothes are 40 years out of fashion. I'll just note, like, you might think, where have you been? In the mountains.
Perfect. And we have hit 10 retweets, and I have rolled on the thing, and Prescott, you get the first magic item as your boot, as you're trying to like dust this, dust off of the top of your boots. You can see that mud that is like just freckled, like the edge of your boots, which is probably not great. You see by your toe sort of a little bit in the puddle, tiny little bit caked in mud, something shine. This very, very blue, almost glass-like shard.
Excellent. Tell me more about this shard that I reached down and pick up.
You have probably seen some of these around. They're expensive. This is probably dropped off the back of a cart. This is dropped out of someone's pocket who really didn't want it to drop out of their pocket, as you have a dragon shard. As it sits in your hand very snugly. It's sort of the perfect size to be handheld and grip it. This is a shard of reading and transcribing. Now, the way this works is either you can record a document or something and hold it in there and retain the information, or you can effectively almost read a scene in front of you like you're recording it and hold it, almost like evidence and proof. But this shimmers a very blue, as much as there's a little bit of mud and dirt that you probably don't want on it.
This sounds very good. Now, I have a question real quick. Being both a mark of finding, he's dragon marked, plus he's also a sorcerer. So do I have to roll any sort of like table to see if I explode or anything like that at this point?
I wouldn't say you spontaneously combust on the spot for this. I'll see how I feel about it later.
Okay,
See what happens.
I am fine with that result. That sounds great to me. Thank you.
And the three of you are walking along, and there's someone else in the party. And Dewey, what do you look like? And why are you on your way to Sharn?
Oh, I'm just the tallest gnome that there ever was, at a whole 2 foot 11 inches. So close. I tell people I'm 3 feet tall, though. Just, don't tell them.
For reasons.
Obviously. I like to wear very bright clothing that matches a lot. So my bright red, I have this bright red shirt on with these bright purple pants with my bright green shoes. And I'm just walking along. I'm just trying to make friends, honestly, and I heard there's a lot of friends to be made at this festival, so I'm very excited.
We know this is one of the seasonal festivals. We know that in Sharn, they go all out. There is always color filling the streets, lots of different types of food, all these different sort of stalls and markets, and It's normally an event that just plays out for 3 days, all the way through the night. The music keeps on going, the beer keeps on flowing. It's an amazing... people from all around flood to Sharn for this event. In particular, a lot of traders, which you may see passing as a lot of different, I guess, trinkets and sort of things from all over can be found here, like shift weave, and so the material that has patterns on it that move at the same time, which is a very rare, very expensive, but people feel generous around the festival time. And you have all been walking this road together. Do you already all know each other? Maybe you've just seen each other on the road and happen to be walking in the same direction? What do we think?
I imagine we've been walking for some time, perhaps also had to camp out already. Imagine that the walking is somewhat extensive. So I imagine we've supped and eaten and had food together at least multiple times. So I imagine we know something of each other a bit, or we are familiar with each other enough. Bone doesn't speak much. It's been a bit of time, but is always listening and sharing bread, right? What sort of little rations Zitzi has. But just sort of present, right? Just sort of kind of like a very calm presence near people during the firelight.
I think I would have been fairly well talking everyone's ear off until I read the room and determined whether or not that was the best course of action, and matched the tone of the group as we walked, and maybe spent the fire time telling little stories and playing a little bit of music to help pass the time.
I would totally be talking your ear off, finding somebody else who will talk as much as I do. Although I do not read the room very well, unfortunately. And so I'm just making, like I said, I just want to make all the friends. And you're all my friends, and you have no choice in the matter.
I think periodically it probably would have just moved to the side to have side conversations from the quiet ones to give them a little bit of a break, and then brought us back in at times. Like, oh, let's go look on the other side of the road at this interesting, yes.
Totally, like maybe totally oblivious to that fact too.
Baron Thrush is definitely here to make friends and enjoy this long journey together, because, you know, the real treasure is the friends you make along the way. We all know that. Well-known maxim.
In that kind of group, I love it. Okay, thank you for that donation for Bone to receive a trinket. I will do that in a moment. But before that happens, could you all roll me a perception check, please, as you walk this long road, which is not windy. You can literally see over in the distance.
Could I ask if my observant feat might come in handy at this moment, or I could use my passive instead? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I also have a interesting feature where I get to add a D4 to this.
Ooh.
Ooh. I'm perfectly adequate.
That's it.
So that's me with a 14.
So I'll have a 17 then.
14, 17. Okay, I'm sorry, Bone. Everyone over 10. Everyone over 10. You look off into the distance and you can just about see this, what looks to be maybe a village, a very small settlement. There are some very low walls, almost like palisade walls, all the way around the edge. And the reason you don't see this, Bone, is because one of the things that does catch your eye on the ground is a staff. It looks to be sort of propped up in something, so when walkers go by, they take it, and then when they see it again, they drop it off at the next one, and they leave it for another person. But it's a plain staff in the fact that there's no jewels, there's no bands or anything on it, but it is very intricately carved with a sort of swirling, intricate design that runs all the way down, and a small yellow ribbon tied to the top. And you can use this as either a weapon, like a bludgeoning weapon, or if you do use magic, it does add 1 to your spellcasting.
Well, considering I can cast prestidigitation, which is how I keep so clean,
I'm gonna clean this stuff real good. Yeah, and the rest of you sort of look over at this village. Okay, I'm really sorry, I can't pronounce that name. Thank you for that. Is it Horgar Thorson?
Hrothgar.
That. Thank you. Could you roll again, please, Trooper, for another trinket on the way? It's lucky you're getting distracted. The rest
I can't see anything.
The rest of you look over into the distance, and there seems to be smoke coming up from this village, and it's black smoke. This isn't a wood fire smoke. This seems to be troublesome, and as you get closer and closer, you can see some people in their carts just moving quickly away, not saying anything. They just want to get out of there. They want to leave. And you can hear a lot of yelling. You can hear the clash of metal and people shouting in the distance. What would you like to do?
We should probably go check that out, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, and I just take off running.
Bone looks up like, what? Sort of missed what had happened.
I don't think we can let those people run off by themselves. I do think we have to go help them.
What's happening?
That's a very good question. I think we're going to have to go find out.
And Bone is just holding this staff for a moment, realizing that Z missed something, because it's been a while since he's been in around people, just getting accustomed, but sort of follows the Baron, realizing that something is happening.
And as you sort of reach and hold that staff, you don't quite notice until you start walking, but that yellow ribbon slowly starts to form into another shape as an ever bright lantern starts to appear at the top of it and gives off a soft glow. You can see what looks like a shard at the center. This does give you 60 feet of bright light, dark vision in the darkness. And it sort of just forms you. It's only when you just about hear the clatter of the metal sort of against the staff, you realize it's formed there. And almost just very, very quickly, a brief color of lights swims through the swirls leading up to where the lantern is, as if that's what's generating this light. You do, however, see Dewey sprinting off into the distance towards the village, very excitedly. Maybe not excitedly, I'm not sure. Is it fear? Is it excitement?
Oh, it is total excitement. And he's running as fast as his short little legs will let him.
Is everyone else walking regularly?
Walking with a quickness.
Yeah.
Is it what time of day is it? Is it getting evening?
It seems to be sort of mid-afternoon, and you know that it starts to get dark in a few hours, but it's still pretty bright at the moment. The sun's just about turning.
So Bone walks with a quickness, not running, but that sort of it's a bit of a hustle, right? Like we're not running, but just not strolling either.
Power walking.
Enthusiastic walking.
Enthusiastic power walking.
I'm keeping pace with Dewey.
Yeah, you two are jogging at the front effectively, and as you get closer and closer to this place, you can see where this smoke is coming from. You hear the cries out of people, whether they're raising an alarm. A town bell is being hit from one of the small palisade-like towers, like a small watchtower. You see people running about. There's arrows sort of lit up with fire as this place catches fire in different parts of the wall. People seem to be trying to break it down. You can see guards, what you would probably recognize as like a town guard. They're not really trained warriors or soldiers, but they're running around trying to put out these fires along with some of the villagers. You can hear a lot of families running to get away. You also see 2 sky ships hovering above this village as they are throwing these ropes down with these huge like grappling hooks on, just trying to pull down some of these walls. You can see people dressed quite finely, that you can, with rapiers in one hand and other manner of weapons charging in. They seem to be grabbing whether it's wheat or corn, or one of them has got a cow like that he's leading, like trying to get the livestock away. Very determined pirate. And you can see this chaos happening as you're still quite a distance, but you can hear it, you can see it, and this turmoil going on as they start to leave to get back onto these sky ships and cut the ropes to take off again.
Boone will start running to catch up. Clearly, there is shenanigans of a poor sort.
What's everyone else doing?
So they're still traversing across the ground, and they're heading towards ropes where they plan to lift themselves and goods up.
Some of them are just cutting the ropes. They've loaded up the ships. You can see these huge sails with this sort of billowing with this orange sort of amber color as the magic is sort of fueled by it. You can see these elementals stood at the center where the main mast is as the ships start to raise up. You can see quite a few people that seem to be giving orders, not as a retreat, but to pull back and get everything out as you see these ships start to take off and disappear.
How many total of them are like on the ground or still?
On the ground, there seems to be maybe 3 or 4 that are running to catch hold of like the long rope ladders that are hanging down. It's get on or miss it.
As we're running, I turn to Dewey and I say, "Do we stop them or let them go?"
We should stop them, right?
I think so.
Yeah, they look bad, right?
Definitely bad.
The Baron turns and talks to you. Do either of you have any idea exactly how we're going to stop an airship?
I can stop the ones on the ground.
That's a start, yes. Okay. Dewey, how about you? How about you take care of that airship?
You want me to take? I'll take care of the airship.
There are 2 airships in the air. One has already started disappearing, but it's 4 people on the ground that are climbing onto the airships as they're taking off.
What do the sails sport any colors? Is there a flag sort of identifying markings?
These bear no colors. These are just almost like they look to be almost like a very deep, almost black, like purple sail. But you can see that it's more that the reason there's the amber color there, it's because of the energy being sent up by the elementals to power it.
How quickly, thinking about our speed, will we be able to get to the ladders before they leave?
Roll me an athletics check.
Oh no.
Anyone who wants to sprint towards it, you can roll me an athletics.
Ooh.
Are we within 120 feet?
No, you're a bit further away than that. You're seeing this.
15.
I'm so proud of you, Sam. Is Prescott running, or?
I have to find my buttons, but I do believe I'll try.
As he stands there, like.
Ooh.
Okay, because of how far away it is, Bone, you're running, and suddenly you see these very fancy boots take straight past you as Prescott starts sprinting towards this. And Prescott, you can get there as the ladder is being pulled up, and it's about arm lengths away. Dewey. I feel that you're running and you're so enthusiastic. You're too enthusiastic, and you don't see that massive like that lump in the road, that bit of rock and moss that's sort of like been kicked up by one of the carts, and you just poof, and like so much so that you skid a little bit, sort of in this this rain is still sort of coming down, washing the mud off you that you've just caked yourself in. Zinnia, however, as you're running next to Dewey, this takes you by surprise as you sort of stop and you watch Prescott run, not seeing Dewey trip over as you effectively then head over heels crash into Dewey as this ship takes off. Prescott, as you are right by the ship, would you like to do anything?
It sounds like I should probably climb up this rope and depart on this airship.
Okay. You grab hold of this, you definitely can on a 19 athletics, and you start to climb. You hear a voice at the top, a female voice going, "Halt!" as she draws this rapier and holds it over this rope ladder. "I will cut this. Leave my ship."
Are you taking new recruits?
And it's just like, that's not how this works. Like,
I'm climbing the rope. I'm passing the test right now.
She cuts the first side of this rope ladder, which is still attached, but I need you to make an athletics check to hold on.
Well, let's see how that goes. I'm glad I'm midair while I'm doing this. That's definitely the way this should go.
This is how we wanted it.
Well, let's see. Okay, so bloop.
You fall down to the last bit of the rope ladder, and she points this rapier at you again, and you see these very almost fiery eyes sort of glaring back at you, very tense brow, this jet black hair which looks to be tied back into a bit of a plait, very sun-kissed skin, a lot of freckles, and she's almost like gritting her teeth a little bit. She's like, "I will cut the next if you do not leave my ship."
Alice, if we're doing sorcerer stuff, can I also have my eyes go like a deep black and start like leaking smoke out of the corners and say, "I can just climb up this rope and we can talk like civilized people"?
And she looks down at you like, "Demon!" and cuts the rope.
I have earned this. That's fine.
As yeah.
Can I get some hay for where he might land? Just, trying to...
I mean, you
just in
rolled a
case.
good athletics. They might have dropped some. So
Just in case, so that, if he falls, I'd like to, just cart of hay, very Assassin's Creed style. So, break the fall, just in case.
Oh yeah, you can. It's not far to fall. You almost get the feeling she slowed down the ship and didn't want you to fall far as she cut this, and you do fall on this wonderful little bed of hay that Bone has somehow created out of nothingness. But the ladder does fall on you as it sort of as it comes running down. And you land and you watch these ships as she stands on the bow, and they turn and disappear towards the forest.
I point up at the ship and say, "I'm keeping this ladder."
You hear something, you don't know what it is, but it's like an angry sort of thing that goes back.
I immediately go to the well and try to get some bucket to help put out the fires.
Yeah, you see people running past all of these villages. You see one of these huge orcs lumbering with this barrel of water and just throwing it on some of the palisade walls. You even see kids running with these tiny little buckets, passing them to other adults trying to throw them off. There's a tabaxi that seems to be there with a cloth that is trying to pat out some of these fires. And the guards seem to be pulling people up to their feet. Some of them are chasing off into the distance, not far, more to see in what direction these people go. But there is a moment where you look at this very small, very simple village, and it's just, other than these town guards, these are ordinary people. You look at them and you don't see a ton of wealth here. These are farmers, these are maybe blacksmiths at the most, which might have some of the most things. And someone who doesn't look quite like one of the villagers, like they stand out. A man with slicked back, almost whitish silver hair. He looks to have a very friendly face, a very square jaw, but you can see what looks to be like a scar that runs all the way down the side of his face and down the side of his neck. You can even see it appear on his arms through this shirt and waistcoat, this very decorative waistcoat that he wears. He doesn't carry any weapons at all. He has a staff strapped to his back, but it looks more like a walking staff. It's even more plain than the one that you found, Bone. And he's starting to shout directions. He's pulling people up. He's just like, is everyone okay? Is everyone safe? And soon his eyes turn to all of you as well, as everything starts to calm down. The fires are put out, and everyone is just checking on each other. You can see one man who has a big old bruise on his face that looks like maybe either a punch to the face or if he walked into a rake or something. It's more that sort of thing rather than anything like that. But he does see you and stops and holds a hand out, almost like warning, like a flat hand. He goes, "Are you with the raiders?"
No.
Who are you?
We were walking on the road and we thought that we would stop and help. We saw a commotion that didn't look normal.
No, it's not normal. And he sort of pauses and looks around at all of you, not nervously, but wary. He's definitely wary. You see him rest a hand on the back of a man that walks past carrying another man who looks to have maybe been pushed over or something, that he seems to be limping slightly. If anyone would like to roll a perception or insight check on the village itself, you feel free. Otherwise, he is looking at all of you. So, have you come to help?
Bone says nothing, but pulls out a little medicine kit and just without words starts to try to help some of the people who are around, who might need a little bit of patching or salve.
Yeah, you can see you actually have a kid approach you with what, like a scraped knee, and he just points at his knee like he's got that bottom lip drop, and he's like, it doesn't look too bad. It looks like he's tripped over and like scraped his knee in like this instant. You can see some of the other people with these bruises that are being sort of moved. As you're on that perception check, as you're also looking around and you're dealing with some of these people, there are no fatalities. This looks to be almost like people have been roughed up, but there's no fatalities. Even the guards don't look struck.
And how old is this little boy?
Oh, he looks to be about 8 years old, something like that. He's got very sort of scruffy blonde hair. He is covered in dirt, probably from where he's just fallen over. Very simple, basic clothes, not really too much to be seen about him, but he's got the streaks of like the tears that probably come down his cheeks through the dirt, so you can see it. It looks worse than it is. And there is a hole in his trousers where he scraped his knee, and it's not bloodied, it just looks very raw, like it'll sting.
Bone casts Prestidigitation and just cleans him right up. Just cleans him all right up, and then patches and says, sort of quietly, "Does this happen often?"
And he looks for a moment and looks up to this man that is with the white hair stood next to the group saying, "You can tell them." And he's like,
They come sort of, almost every day, every 2 days. It's a normal thing now, it's fine. I just,
sort of looks kind of bashful.
Also, what was that?
Like, and he sort of holds his arms out where he's completely clean now.
You're a good lad. It's okay.
Is that why you cleaned me?
You were dirty.
Oh, I'm always dirty. That's what my mum says. I'm always covered in something.
Not at the moment.
I guess not. She'll be really happy about this.
And then Bone just sort of steps by Dewey, because Dewey talks, and just moves over to Dewey. Just like kind of like right behind Dewey, like not looming, but like Dewey will say the things.
Dewey just goes up to or he turns to the man and says, "Are you with the Raiders?"
And he pauses for a moment and looks down at himself and probably realizes he's not dressed in the same sort of gear that maybe all the villagers are. He's like, "No, my name is Martuk. It is nice to meet you," and holds out a hand for you to shake. And you are? Are you okay?
I'm Dewey. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm totally fine.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure. Are you okay?
I don't know. Are you okay? Like this thing starts up of these two just sort of yes right. And he sort of there's a moment where he sort of looks around. It's almost checking everyone. He's like, I think everyone is not okay, but as best as they're gonna be. Are you by any chance
Are you the mayor of this place?
No. Oh gosh, no. I am his first man, as he likes to call it. The mayor himself is very sick right now and full of worry. So I can take you to meet him if you wish.
This little village is raided every day, every few days?
Ever since he got sick. Yes. We've been trying to keep it a...
Can we go see the mayor?
Of course, please, this way. And he starts to walk through the village. And that rain is sort of starting to ease off. At the center, you see almost what looks like a roundhouse. Again, carved very intricately, almost like the staff you have, Bone. There is a huge door at the center, which at the moment is open. You can see quite a few villagers sort of like huddling in out of the rains. You can hear some kids crying, some kids playing. Like it's almost like they're just getting on with it. You see other people herding cattle sort of past this building. A huge round fire sits at the center, which it is lit, and Martok walks through, sort of gives a polite gesture to each person that sort of crosses paths as they come up to him here and there, and he walks you to up a few steps. It's actually 3 steps. You can see what looks to be like not a throne, but definitely a chair of standing, which is currently empty, and a door behind it, which he walks up to and knocks. And there's a slow pause. It's like, excuse me, Mr. Tarkin, may I come in? And he just sort of knocks again. You hear a very grizzled, almost like croaky voice come through, like, yes, come in. As he's like, okay, can you leave your weapons here, please? They make him nervous, especially since he's been in his sickly state. I don't allow any weapons in here. You can leave them where I'm sure we can leave them with Martha. Like, and he sort of yells at this young girl, very bright red curly hair, sort of hanging down, brushes over. It just holds out her arms. You're guessing maybe she's been told to do this before.
Bone is a few steps behind because Z's been using prestidigitate to make little toys for the crying children. without really saying much to them, but like making a little, like, you know, like a die or a top, and then just like handing it to them and then moving forward. No chatter with them, just here.
They sort of like reach up and take it, give you a look, like almost like a wonder that you see their eyes wide when they as they get happy as they've reached these small toys, but also this is a stranger. And they're like
And just like give and pass, step on, you know, this is a very little all a little awkward, but just like crying here.
Shush now. Like, and there's a moment when Martha takes, do you hand over your weapons like willingly?
Yes.
Or okay,
Sure.
she stands there, she doesn't like put them down, she just then stands by the door.
On our way over, I was using prestidigitation as well to clean all the mud off of myself and Dewey. And then as soon as we got inside, I then dry myself and like try to make myself look presentable.
Best spell. People think it's fireball. No, it's prestidigitation. Keeps you clean.
I gotta admit, I made the wrong choice. Zinnia, could you, before we see the mayor, would you mind with the...
Oh, of course. And she starts like humming under her breath.
Thank you. That's much better.
It sort of like warms it as well. Yeah, Dewey can do like that thing, you know, you walk into a room that just like, what's it called? Like, I can't remember what it's called. Like, just, you cleanse Dewey as he walks with his arms in the air. And Martha smiles, taking all of the weapons, like, hello, hello. Like, she seems pretty cheery to see other people. It's almost like a little bit of look of hope as she smiles at you. And Martok opens this door, holds it open for you on the other side, and he's like, please, come in.
I'll nod and go in after.
Bone goes in last.
Okay. You enter this room, and it seems to be more of a bed chamber than anything else. There is what looks to be a very elderly man sat on the edge of this bed, very sort of white, graying hair. His face looks very weathered, like maybe he's traveled a lot, but he's sort of hunched over as he looks tired as he rests his hands on his lap. You can hear almost like a wheezy breath, like a as he's trying to breathe. He moves very slowly. He doesn't seem to be well at all. And he looks over in this like what looks to be like an evening robe. He's not in armor, he's not in anything. And he holds this bedpost. It's like he tries to pull himself up, but Martok is like, sir, please. And he's like, who have you brought me? Who are you? Are these raiders? And Martok is like trying to seat this man back down on the edge of the bed. He's like, no, these could be help. This could be help. You know? And there's a moment where this mayor looks at you, this very old weathered face, like, I'm sorry for my manners. I am Mayor Douglas Tarkin. I'd say it's a delight to meet you, but I don't think the circumstances are exactly very good.
May I examine you?
And he sort of says, if you wish.
I'd like to do a medicine check on him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV. 20!
You kneel down and start to look over this elderly gentleman. What are the rest of you doing whilst this is happening?
Dewey's gonna try to hop up onto like, hopefully try to find some like somewhere to like some type of purchase so he can hop up onto the bed. And he's gonna be like, no, my name's not Raider, it's Dewey.
So he's like, I am sorry, lad, okay? And it's like that as you see Bone sort of move him back to look, to be able to focus on him. And he sort of looks at you, and Martuk is like, get down off the bed. Like,
I can't see.
what the? Would you like
Can
a
you
stool?
hold me?
I mean, if you really want me to. And he just sort of reaches down, picks you up, and doesn't know what to do with you.
And I'm just standing there trying to look as calm and reassuring as possible.
Yeah, he sort of looks over to you, he's like, would you like a drink, at all? Or, your gnome friend?
I'll take him.
Okay. And there's that awkward pass over, Dewey, as you stand there with your arms, and you'll pass over like a child.
Bone is just like, tapping on the mayor's chest, like just doing sort of like in the background medical examinations while all of this is happening.
you see, Prescott, you see Dewey passed over to Zinnia, as Martuk goes over to one of the tables and starts pouring these drinks. He first walks over and hands one to the mayor. It definitely smells of wine, and then he offers one to all of you on this tray. If you wish.
It's very kind of you, but no, thank you.
Okay. I would offer food, but we are in short supply right now. Yes. And whilst this is happening, Bone, you're doing the tap on the chest, all of the bits, or what you're doing.
Looking in the ears, looking in the eyes.
Like the eyes and stuff like that. And
which makes for an awkward conversation between the mayor and
when
everyone else.
Go on your holiday, that sort of thing. And he sits on the edge of this bed, and you can hear his lungs are wheezy, like they're not filling up completely. He looks so tired, probably from just some form of lack of rest in general. You can guess probably from the lungs, but also there's some form of illness here. You're not too sure. It could be like a virus or something, but either way, it's attacking the system, basically. He doesn't seem to be like on death's door or anything, but he is not well at all. This man could not walk to the edge of the village without being breathless and probably need to be carried back.
How long have you been ill?
And you see him pause. His eyes go wide for a moment as you see him try to recount how long. And then Martuk, as he hands you your wine, it's been about 6 months.
6 months is a long time for a flu or a cold.
And he's not getting any better. I don't. And he's sort of, I think it's the stress.
No. Tap, tap, tap on the lungs. This is more than just stress.
So thank you to Kelly, who donates an advantage to Sammy. Well, Sammy has liked it, so she can't see it, but we will tell her. Thank you. Yes.
Zinnia.
Kelly is the best.
Yes.
You are more aware of the arcane. Could this be arcane in nature? Listen to his lungs. Tap, tap, tap.
Take a deep breath.
Yeah. Could you roll an Arcana, please?
Of course. 15.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You feel as if you've sensed something like this before. It's more of a sense than anything. This, obviously the lungs don't sound right, but they don't sound fully like a cold to you. You can sense some form of magic in this room. And it is specifically centered on the mayor. This doesn't feel, as with the information that Bone has found and that it's been going on for 6 months, you feel this could be a targeted illness.
There is definitely an arcane aura to this. I can feel it sort of centered on you, and I gesture at the mayor. is there anything that changed? Anything that happened? Anyone that came to town? An item that came into your possession? A new food that was introduced around the time you started to get ill?
And he pauses for a moment again, and you can see this memory isn't quite there, probably with tiredness. And Martuk sort of steps in, he's like, I mean, I thought it was the stress of the raiders, but it could have been something they brought with them. Is that a possibility?
It would be very difficult to continue some sort of arcane induced illness on someone from a distance and to maintain it for this long. So an item or a food or something.
I can have a look. And you see him sort of move over to some of the drawers and things. He's just pulling everything out. He's trying to find anything that this could be.
Is
And
the mayor wearing anything besides an evening gown? Like
no, he seems to literally
rings?
only be in a robe. He does have a few rings on his fingers. They look like they've been there for a very long time. You know, they just don't look like they're going to move anymore. And he sort of, he's like, would you help me? As he shuffles himself back to sit up against the
Bone
pillows
helps.
again. And Martuk comes over to Zinnia with this it's almost like a very large coin with a feather sort of carved into it. He's like, I just assumed this was one of his many. He likes to collect things, you see, and you can see on the floor and all these things, these just weird and wonderful items. Like, but I haven't seen this one before. I don't know what it is.
Without touching it.
He has a glove on.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just going to kind of like, all right, you hold that. And
Or what I can do is Dewey casts Mage Hand to grab it for you, and then kind of whatever you need, the hand kind of does for you.
Just hold it right. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
The mage hand moves it from Martuk's hand and just holds it in front of Zinnia, sort of like that.
Does it feel like it has the same sort of arcane sense to it?
It has magic to it. You're not sure if it's the same thing or not.
This is definitely enchanted in some way. It's difficult to tell if this is the source of it. And I start to look over at all the things on the ground.
A lot of these seem to be like, there's different types of material, there's different like trinkets, there's beads, there's glassware, there is just coins in general that seem to be, which you notice not as coin as in like, oh, collectibles. Like it's that kind of, there's very just not things you would normally find lying around, so you could probably see how easily it would have been to pick up something maybe that isn't great for someone who isn't a collector of things. But as you're looking at this, Douglas Tarkin reaches out and sort of very weak hand grabs your wrist. He's like, have you come to help with the raiders? Will you get rid of them?
We could try. There seem to be a lot of them. Have you not had any help from anyone else?
No one comes. We try with our guards, and we even know where they're stationed, but I would have led it myself if not for... In fact, I'm sure I can lead it myself. And he starts to move out of the bed, and Martuk is like, whoa, like trying to like get
you
this.
Sit here. Sometimes the best way to lead is by making sure that you stay safe.
The raiders did not start until after you got sick.
Correct.
Did you insult any nature spirit or some such?
What do you take me for? Why does he look mildly offended? You see his two like frail hands come up to his chest. I am a good mayor. I respect the land around. We only take what we need.
I was just asking to see if it could have been a curse. But this seems deliberate targeting.
He blinks again. And you can see that blankness of whether it's memory loss, whether it's just tiredness, not processing. And he looks very confused, sort of like, I don't know. And Martuk sort of like props him up on the cushion, pulls the duvet over him, and sort of comes over to Dewey and hang on, wait, is Zinnia still carrying Dewey at this point as you're like working on?
like almost like on the hip at this point, kind of like awkwardly, like, but not like a full on the way the child does where they sit on your hip. It's kind of like a side saddle sort of situation with so like one arm there, and so it's holding, Dewey, he's holding the coin up with the mage hand, and she's still looking at it. Stop, and I watch this. I'm like, I'm just going to check these other things too. And is this building big enough for them to have another room in here?
They could have another. There seems to just be one big space. You can see what looks to maybe a small, whether it's a storage room off the side, a very small room off to the side.
I mean, like, I was thinking, like, what if we separate him from his belongings and put him in another bedroom? Like, maybe he switches.
I mean, you can put him in the closet. There's not much.
No servants' quarters here. Got it.
Yeah, there's other houses, but they are definitely the villagers' homes rather than anything else.
So yeah, unless you've gotten down, Dewey, I don't know. Have you just okay? We're still holding you. They kind of shifted to the side.
We could perhaps move this coin somewhere else.
I have I reach back and I pull out a pouch that's just empty. Why don't we open it up and drop it in there, Dewey?
You're muted.
Yeah, I know. I was talking to myself. Thank you. Because I started making the motion. I'm like, oh, the hand does that. I don't know how to. The hand.
This little blue hand, sort of like this ethereal hand, comes over and drops it in the purse as Dewey sits on your hip. And Martuk has walked over to Prescott and it's like, sorry, excuse me. You look like a man who knows,
You are absolutely correct. Also, forgive me for being indelicate, but what exactly did the mayor do that would make... How would he have made any difference against those raiders?
This is just the thing. I don't understand what they're doing. They come here with cruel intent. They don't seem to, they rough up the people. They take things like important things, not gold, not wealth, not anything, but the food we have, and they seem very intent on breaking down our defenses.
So we have 3 highly trained, skilled adventurers handling the pocket change of your elderly mayor, but we have nothing that we've done that's going to deal with any of these bandits. That's your opinion.
I mean, I would love if you could do something.
I could, if you're looking for a new mayor, I would be open to investigating the position.
And he sort of looks back at Douglas, who doesn't hear. He's like, that's...
I am not being quiet at all.
That's not what I was going for. I was more thinking of... I fear for the families here. They could die in the winter. They could... I don't know. What if we have resources? I could I will use my own, if anything. Go to where they are based, either convince them to leave, or I will give you 3 gold for everyone you dispose of.
No.
But they're gonna.
And Bone just goes through her pack and takes out like 5 days of food rations. Says, here.
No, thank you, but you don't understand. They will be back tomorrow.
As he puts the rations back in. But why? You cannot bleed a stone. This seems more harassment than if this has been going on daily, every few days for 6 months. This little village.
Sometimes they leave it a day or 2. It depends. I know where they harbor. We send some men there, and they disappeared.
Where are they harbored?
just out of the city towards the shoreline by the Dagger River, there's a forest, and I've heard that is where the ships are harbored on land.
How many?
Well, there tends to be around 12 to 15 of them. And their captain, I know they have a captain, or that's what they call her.
Have you heard of raids in any other neighboring villages or hamlets?
I sent word out to Sharn to ask for help, just to get some warforged this way, but I've heard nothing back as of yet. I fear that maybe my messenger was intercepted on the road. I gave him my best raptor. I haven't seen him for days.
We shall look.
And he sort of reaches out and takes your hand. And he's like, thank you. Thank you. Looks to Prescott and is like, thank you so much for the offer, but we do not require a new mare just of yet, but I will bear this in mind to the channel. Thank you, Sphinx, for those gift subs. Thank you so much. And
there's no rush. I will be back once we take care of these raiders.
He sort of leans in. He's like, he's not dead.
Don't have to. I do not think that mayor, is it supposed to be a lifelong profession? Is that?
I mean, it's a pretty big family thing in this town.
Is it? Oh,
he inherited from his father.
Seems classist, but that's fine.
And he sort of shrugs and nods a little bit. He's like, he was adopted by his father. I mean, would you like
if there's
to be
something written
adopted?
down, I can read about it later. But for now, I think we really need to deal with these raiders. I mean, look, Dewey's ready to go right now.
As Dewey sits on him.
And I would suggest, just in case, clear out all of this. Strip this down, plain sheets, plain blanket, move it to a chest out of the house, something, bury it all. Just
I can
move
do that.
from his presence for a while.
I can. I'm sure Martha and I can move everything and get it even outside the village if we have to. I mean, are you taking the coin? Okay, that's fine. He's a bit of a hoarder, so we're gonna have to wait till he falls asleep to do this. But we can do that. We can. That's fantastic. Thank you. I will.
A little bit of extra wine tonight.
Yes, mayhaps. Yes. So that's probably a good. Good. Wow. I need to tell Martha. And he sort of you can see him almost putting a list up in his head.
Pinch of Valerian root in it.
Why would they attack this place? What is the campaign for? And Bone is just talking to herself, right? Just, you can tell that Z's working through some sort of process. It's not really speaking to anyone, but perhaps they're used to speaking out loud to themselves, living in the mountains.
And you can see Martok sort of sees that you're talking to yourself, running things over in his head, very much like he is doing right now. And he's like, please leave as soon as you can. It's not too far. It's maybe a few hours. I can give you raptors if that would speed up your pace.
You need your resources.
You are my resources right now.
I'm pretty sure we want to take the raptors.
We'll certainly bring them back.
Yes.
It will eat you, Dewey, if you These are homing raptors.
And Bone just walks over to the mare, sort of awkwardly, and just pats the mare on the shoulder in a way that's meant to be comforting.
Yeah, you sort of you can almost squeeze it, almost as a comfort, and He looks up at you. You can see a moment as if he's trying to recognize you again, and then it comes to him. And he just nods.
And Bone walks out.
Oh, and you should do the thing on the, on your hand if you're going to touch that. Him.
That. And
I'm going to put Dewey down onto the ground. We're leaving. It's fine. And I'm going to grab the Martok's 2 shoulders and just look at him very, very sincerely and say, "It's going to be all right. I just need you to hold everything together for another night, okay?"
Martok is looking decidedly worried, but he goes to the door. He opens the door. Martha is there, like, waiting. She is just, like, with all of your gear. And he's like, "Martha, please show them to the raptors. Give them back their things. Give them what they need. Point them in the right direction." And he looks just flustered. He's like, "Thank you. Please, I must see to I'm gonna need some wine." And he sort of disappears briefly. And Martha smiles to you all, handing back like your staff and your weapons, and sort of giving you a bit of a cheery smile, that very, very pale skin and rosy cheeks. And she's like, "So if you want to follow me, this way." And she starts like moving, and you can see there's almost like not a chair going around, but people seem to be gaining hold again of like composing themselves. And she leads you out the back where you hear these. I'm not going to try and make a velociraptor sound because it's just not. I've had a sore throat. And you can hear these sounds, almost like like that chirp. It's almost like a weird chirp. As you round the corner into this, almost like a stable. Thank you for that retweet. It is 94. I will hang on. Let's roll a 1d4. If it's a 1 again. I keep rolling this. It's not a 1.
It's a 1d4.
This one is for Zinnia, and I will do that one in a bit.
Fine with being Xena too. I'm kidding.
Yeah, Zinnia as a warrior princess is fine. And there is a moment where Martha leads you out, and you can see that rain is starting to ease up, and sort of just saddled up. You guess maybe the guards use them most of the time. No one in particular has one. You see these different raptors with these long lashing tails, these big heads, but they all mix in sort of a different colors. It's not just that green. They've all got a green grayish sort of tint to them, but you can see some reds like blossomed by some of where their ears are, which are these tiny little, very, very small. You almost didn't see them, but they're almost like little scaled, almost wing type shapes that sort of are flat to their head. They stand up on their 2 hind legs, these big saddles. Some of them have a purple sort of flourish. Some of them have, you can see one that has a very sort of yellow belly that reaches up to a crest round its neck. And she sort of looks at you and say, "So, do you know how to ride a raptor?"
No. But you are very strong.
Well, I mean, this young sir seems to. Dewey, was it? Please show us how. Please roll me animal handling.
I got this. Oh, you know what? I think I have an advantage that I'm going to use on this. Because what
Not
better
fighting
use?
pirates, but
Yeah, what better
do not
use
get
than
eaten by velociraptor.
Oh, it's more like I don't want to be like embarrassed.
Ooh, good show.
18.
Yeah. On an 18, how do you approach this raptor?
Is there just one there?
No,
Or-
there seems to be about 6 or 7 there.
I go up to the biggest raptor
Of course you do.
and I just like shimmy up its leg and kind of like try to go up, but like I definitely have all the confidence in the world doing this. And I'm just like, and I get up and I'm like, I got this.
Like
I got this.
you're so small. The reason that you get on there with no trouble at first is that it doesn't notice you're there until you sit on top and you're like, I got this, and then you see it like turn round briefly rear up, but it calms down as you can fit yourself into this saddle and these stirrups, and this giant raptor with a tiny little Dewey on it. They both look at you expectantly as Martha's like, well, you seem to have this handled. It's straight out the village towards the forest, and she pulls out what this looks like, this scrap of clothing. She gives 4 of these a sniff, and they seem to start to get riled up as to where it is. Please, would you all like to try and get on one of these, or?
I mean, there's extra room on mine if anybody wants to come join me.
It's like a
that actually sounds like a
bicycle
pretty good
built for
idea.
2. Yeah, Prescott, you can probably get on there with ease then. I'll say roll an animal handling anyway, but Dewey's already got it pretty much.
I'm actually not going to prioritize the raptors right now. I'd like to find out what this cloth is that she's gone around sniffing or handling all the raptors to sniff. What exactly is that?
Oh, this, you can take it with you if you want. It's it came off one of the raiders, and it looks to be part of like a cloak or something. It's pretty decorative actually. But she hands it to you once all the raptors have had a sniff of it.
Yes, thank you. That'll be helpful.
I'm going to go up to one that looks, the one that looks the least aggressive, like least ready to go take off and run.
Like the smallest or the most, like
when
smiley? Like I can think of a word, like a smiley
maybe not smiley.
raptor.
Like she held the cloth out and they all looked like they were ready to go. The one who isn't in the front, the one who's kind of like in the back, like knows what it's supposed to be doing, but isn't like super on the ball with things. It's the most chill one, right?
Yeah, you can see one that's just like lolling its head from side to side. The rest of them are getting quite excited by the smell of this, and this one you can see is sniffed is like, oh, okay, it's almost like just like bobbing its weight from side to side on its 2 main legs as it sort of like looks, like lolls its head over to you and blinks once as you approach it. I will need you to roll an animal handling for me though, please.
So as I walk up, I'm just gonna put my hands out and go, soft raptor, warm raptor, little olive scale, happy raptor, sleepy
Okay, roll with
raptor.
advantage. That's
Okay.
it. You can add advantages.
18.
Ooh,
Yeah.
very nice.
You sing this lullaby to this raptor, and if a raptor could purr, it does. You hear like this little chortle, like as it's at the back of its throat, as in the clicking of its teeth, as it sort of blinks very slowly at you, and sort of crouches a little bit so that you can step in the stirrups and just swing yourself onto this raptor.
And like pat it as I swing up into.
Yeah, you can sort of like it lets you touch the top of its head, which Martha looks at you sort of like, oh, like maybe this is not something that normally happens. Prescott, were you getting on the back with Dewey?
Prescott is going to go last.
Okay.
He is investigating this.
Watching suspiciously. How about you, Bone? Which one would you go for?
Bone's just standing around super awkward, you know, and like looking at the raptors' awkwardness. I'm sure they smell awkwardness, and it's all particularly awkward.
Oh,
Bone
one
just
is
says,
leaning in and just sniffing. You hear that sort of as it's sniffing your awkwardness.
I should perhaps walk. That seems safer.
You want to walk? They move quite fast.
Just come up with me.
I mean, the sort of looks at Dewey. Dewey seems to have it pretty much under control, and it is our largest raptor.
All right. And Bone just moves over towards where Dewey is. Puts her hand on the saddle, closes her eyes, and sort of just tries to get up in a way, just hoping, like it's like calm.
Okay, could you both roll me an animal handling, please? So like you can basically, or you can help with one of you can help the other if someone wants to roll, and someone can roll with advantage.
Let me help you. I will help you.
I
Help
was
you,
gonna
help
say-
me.
I was 100% about to be like, let me help you. I don't roll well. Oh, okay.
So roll with its advantage, Sammy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you managed to keep this raptor steady. It sort of does loll its head back, almost that it just misses you, as it's not trying to get you, it's trying to look back at this other person trying to get onto them, and you do with ease. You feel it sort of rock as it tries to adjust, but you're on there fine. And what about Prescott?
Okay, so he's not good with animals. This is not something he's trained in, but you know what he is good with is
Do you like
people.
the Shetland pony version? Like,
Nope. Prescott's going to turn to Martha and say, what was your name again?
Martha.
Martha, could you show me how to do this properly?
Oh gosh, yes. No, I can do that. Okay. I haven't done this in a while. And she sort of starts walking very slowly up to the raptor and holds out her hand towards it, and sort of not in like a stop sign, but holds her hand out and lets this raptor lean in and sniff her. And she takes your hand and puts it right next to hers so that it can sniff your hand as well. You get that exhale, that and that sort of almost like that smoky sort of erupts from its nostrils as it looks up at you, blinks a couple of times, looks at Martha. She said, I mean, you should be good now.
Right.
Roll
Sure.
me an animal handling with advantage, please.
Okay.
Absolutely shame that.
And I'm whispering to the animal, all right, now let's not make Martha look bad. Let's try to do a good job here.
It blinks.
Okay.
Yep.
15.
Mhm.
You kind
I
of.
don't think so. I don't think I actually did. I roll advantage on that one, or is that just me?
because Martha showed you how to
Yep.
do it. You got
Okay.
the advantage on that. It's awkward. It's really, really awkward as it watches you sort of crane its neck round as it looks over. And you're in your fabulous boots and your snazzy outfit as you try. You know, you put the wrong leg in the stirrup at first and sort of no. And Martha said, no, the right leg. Like she comes over and puts
that
your
makes
foot
more
like
sense.
and they say, okay, Anil, we you up, and sort of like pushes you up, and it's sort of you feel that as she starts tightening the saddle, as you feel it start to move slightly as this raptor is looking over at you. And that is where we're going to take our first break, because we're now all saddled up with raptors. So we will be back in just a moment. Everyone go stretch your legs, go have a buy a good drink, get a drink or something, and we will see you in a bit. Bye. Oh, hi again. We are all on raptors. Let's go. So, your trinket, Zinnia, is when Martha comes over to you, as you seem to be the steadiest on these raptors right now. And she reaches into her pocket and pulls out a very smooth stone. Especially with your interest showing magic. These different arcane symbols sort of decorate the top of it, and they sort of glow briefly, this very soft green more than anything. And this is a speaking stone. And she takes your hand and puts it in it. She's like, I have the other one. If something goes wrong, you can send me a message and I will alert the guards or something. Just let me know. You know?
Of course. It's going to be okay.
Yeah, and you can see the nervousness now as you're about to leave. You can see her nervousness, and she's like, okay, yeah, you just give them a little bit of a nudge and they go. Good luck. I'm going to head back now. I'll go and get the gates open for you. And as much as there's like bits of the gates that's fallen away, they still seem to be closing them and opening the main gates anyway. As she heads over, and you hear her yell to some of the guards as they open these palisade wall type gates. Who's going first? I won't make you roll for animal handling again. It's okay. Unless you want to, Sammy. Is that you?
No, I don't want to. Don't make me roll.
But you've been doing so well. You give them a bit of a nudge, and Bone, you feel this as well as this raptor rears up. You hear a bit of a screech sort of erupt from its throat as it starts to canter with these huge legs, very powerful legs, as it starts running across. And it sort of almost sets off the others as well that throw their heads back in sort of a bit of a chorus, especially Prescott seems to dart after Dewey and Bone. Zinnia, yours is like, whatever, and like starts moving off in that direction as well, probably further at the back just because it's not using all of its energy right now. And you travel down this dirt path, and they seem to be veering off onto the grassy plains down towards where you can see this forest line starts to begin, and you're feeling this rush of wind. You can see the dust being kicked up behind you, but they almost run in formation and seem to sort of weave in and out of each other as they start heading towards the forest, every now and then letting out like a chirp, their huge tails waving. Do any of you try to talk whilst this is happening? Or what do you do?
Bone's very nervous about it, and so it's just like holding on to Dewey's hips, just hopefully not falling off. Don't die.
I love
don't die.
that you're holding onto a gnome right now.
The gnome knows what's up, hopefully.
And Dewey's like, yeah. How is everyone feeling on these raptors other than Bone? So what is Dewey feeling, especially if Bone is probably like got like eyes closed, head down, clinging on? You can feel like a death grip around you.
Oh, Dewey is full of all the excitement. He is having the time of his life. It's like a roller coaster.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I did. And then I felt like an idiot, and so I stopped.
It was the best.
Hey, you can still do that. You still do it. You look,
No.
Dewey puts his arms up in the air. Hey, look, no hands.
Yeah.
I won't make you roll. It's fine.
That's why I didn't want to.
Do I have any disadvantages? Hang on. No, we're okay. I wouldn't
I'm probably
do it to you, Sammy. I wouldn't do that to you. I want you to stay on the raptor.
I'm going to like post up in the saddle like you do when you're cantering on a horse so that you don't flop against the raptor's back.
Mhm.
And I'm letting the like wind blow in my hair, and I'm looking around and I'm taking in a lot of information about how we're getting there. So in case we do lose the raptors, I can get back. I'm just going to use that passive perception to really
you
take
can,
in.
like take in everything around you. You know, that's a familiar looking rock, or that tree on the left, or you can see where you leave the path. You can definitely see fences on some of the plains where it's sectioned off, where there are signposts, there are things like that, and you can definitely make mental markers of it. How about Prescott? How are you feeling on this raptor? It seems fine that you're on its back now, but how is Prescott feeling?
Well, he doesn't feel good, but the important thing is, how does Prescott look?
Right.
He looks composed. The turmoil and fear is internal, but externally, he is riding this raptor. Also not paying any attention at all to his surroundings.
Like a duck. No, swan. You're like a swan.
That's good. I
Yeah.
would be like a swan atop a raptor.
Mm-hmm. That's an image.
Yep.
And you sort of have this innate, because they don't ride like horses. You almost feel like you're going from side to side, really trying to keep control of this. You somehow make it look fabulous and magnificent in your boots and your flowing cape and whatever fabulous things you have.
That's probably plenty.
And you start to break the edge of this forest, and just before you do so, there is almost like it's kind of like a swarm of these creatures that seem to be flying into the forest. These tiny little rabbit head like creatures with small little wispy tails and wings as they sort of move in formation. I've completely forgotten the word. A murmur, as they move in like a murmur. They sort of come and have a look at you. You hear some squeaks and some sort of looks of interest as they sort of disappear into the trees as you enter the tree line. And at this point, there seems to be... It gets a lot darker. And that staff, whether it's on your back at this point, Bone, that lantern slowly starts to glow itself, giving a very soft light to the group. The raptors slow down. You see some of them stop, sniff the air again, and just start to pad through this forest. And could everyone please roll me a perception check, please?
May I roll at disadvantage?
You may. Is this because your eyes are closed?
Yes.
Can I use my passive again for this, or do I need to
7.
roll?
I'd say you could use your passive perception for it. What is your passive,
17.
sorry?
17. I took the observant feat.
Okay. Thank you.
My eyes are closed, so I will take the 7.
Oh, Dewey's Dewey's so excited right now. There's just like, a wonderment of these strange things that are flying in the tree. I'm on a raptor, like running through the forest. You're having the best time ever. You've probably got Bones screaming into the back of your back, but
Bone's just completely quiet, completely silent, just like...
It's really Dewey that's screaming. He's like, yeah!
like, you've now got perfect balance. You've been riding this thing. You can put your arms up in the air. You can do whatever. You feel fully comfortable. In fact, because you're so light, this raptor can move so freely with you seated on it. Over Prescott and Zinnia, you pause a moment. Your raptors sniff the air, and as they do, you look through the forest, through this dark forest, and you see lights, almost like lanterns hanging in trees. You can hear this sort of which sounds almost like something powering up. You would have heard this when you've heard airships sort of hovering when they're effectively in parking. You can hear some laughter, you can hear what sounds to be like chatter, merriment, you can hear the clash of metal, but there's something definitely up ahead.
Can you turn that lantern off?
Yes. I concentrate on turning the lantern off and hope that it works. In my mind, I'm thinking, off.
It doesn't turn off. It is a constant. As you have this effectively now glowing raptor with a screaming hole on the front. If you don't stop soon, I will say you will get, or at least Zinnia and Prescott is very aware that this raptor is very noticeable right now. You aren't so much, but purely because of how loud this one is.
We could leave them here, both of them, and the raptor.
I take my blanket and I sort of wrap it around the off. And so I wrap it so that at least it's not glowing. Blanket.
Wrap it up. It feels warm, but it's not like a burning. This is a crystal at the center. And you cover up this lantern and you're thrown into not complete darkness, but the sun has set. Or it's getting there. There is a soft glow coming from somewhere, but amongst the trees, these tall trees, sort of eerily spaced apart, very equally spaced apart, almost if they've been purposefully planted.
Point out the lights up ahead and the what we think is an airship to the two of them, and I'm like,
Bo nods seriously.
I think we should leave the raptors here.
We did stop screaming once I mentioned we would leave him behind, but I mean...
Dewey, did you stop screaming?
Yeah.
Sounds so upset. It's okay, you can scream on the way back.
I better.
And Bone's like, I think perhaps I should dismount first. Dewey.
That's probably I think that's a good idea. Plus, I have I can pet him while you dismount because I know you're a little scared.
I'm afraid of nothing.
I'm watching them have this conversation, and I'm going to go over to a tree and hitch the raptor, wrap the reins around a branch before getting off.
Yeah, it sort of gives you a little bit of a very quiet chirp. It sort of almost hits you with its head. You know, it's like meant to be an affectionate thing, but these things are big and they're heavy. It sort of nuzzles into your shoulder.
Yeah.
Bone is supposed to get off first, but Bone is not really moving yet. But Z will do it. Z will get off of the raptor first.
I would like to cast Mage Hand and push him.
Okay, one. Yes, you do push him. I literally want hang on. Can I have a dexterity save? Because I want to see how you basically get pushed off this raptor.
Of course. Because also my eyes are closed.
19. Okay, so this you get pushed off of this raptor by this mage hand. You sort of do like a tuck and roll, and somehow, as much as you have been pushed, you hit thud. You manage to sit upright. And in the distance as this happens, you can hear music kick in and maybe drums start. There seems to be some sort of almost like celebration going on. You can hear a fire crackling as you sit in the dirt.
I stand up like I meant to do this. Like that's really what I meant to do all along. And then I just stand awkwardly after that.
And how does Dewey get off the raptor after that? Do you just like slide off, off the back of the tail? Or
Yes, you know me way too well, Alice. Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Sorry. But you see Dewey just elegantly slide off the back, off the tail. That same landing, arms in the air, like the gymnasts do at the very end. And what about Prescott? How is Prescott feeling about getting off of this raptor?
First off, you watched all of that, just so we're clear. But now, as he's getting off, he leans forward to the raptor and says, "Look, if we don't make this look good, it's going to make Martha look bad." And he's just going to like put his hands down and try to dismount as one would. Have you seen someone ride a horse before?
Yeah, you managed to swing your leg over and very slowly dismount. This raptor watches you the entire time, not moving, but it definitely makes a point of watching you. Gives a little sort of like a chirp towards
That's
you
the
as you
ticket right
finally
there.
dismount, almost like a well done.
Prescott is like mentally, he's thinking about like fist bumping this raptor. At least I can do that.
This little
It's okay.
raptor
We've
hand
got this
comes out.
covered. We're no, it's probably pushing a little too far. He's gonna get a finger cut off.
High five.
Okay.
Like-
Mm,
or high three.
Assembled, why do you think these raiders are attacking this small village with no resources continuously for 6 months? And why target this mayor?
I think
Probably
the
a
mayor
grudge.
is old. Ooh. Your way makes
Grudge.
sense also, I guess.
I would imagine that some sort of curse stone, we should probably drop that coin somewhere, bury it perhaps. But that seems like a lot of resources for this small village.
How about I take the cursed coin?
I thought we might try to use it and see what it does.
Just thinking of giving it to the bandits and seeing if they all become cursed and old.
That's a thought. You could just throw it in their stew or something.
Sure. I was just going to hand it to them directly, but that could work.
Ah, as a tribute. The things we know
I haven't thought that far ahead.
are that they didn't kill anyone. It seems that they made a point not to. Nobody was even really terribly hurt, and for marauders, that's a bit unusual. This place is rather tiny, and they have enough resources to be raided for 6 months and not have just left.
Where would they go?
Somewhere else to build hovels and work the land. It's not a great option, but when your only other option is to starve, you...
That's a good point.
Yes.
And I'm really feeling like we are about to go into kind of an extended party situation. Like a 6-month-long bandit festival of its own.
I don't dance well.
I agree, but I think we'll be fine.
I'm not looking to join them. I have a festival to get to.
But I like to paint.
Perhaps they would enjoy that.
That might come up.
Landscapes.
Somewhere around you. Almost
Another
like footsteps, but like twigs snapping. You can hear it. Doesn't sound like it's something being discreet, but you do get the feeling it hasn't seen you yet.
I pull my sword and hide behind a tree.
Okay, stealth check.
Well, what does that mean? Stealth check. What?
What's it called?
Oh, best answer.
Hang on.
3. As I said, I just hold the sword standing behind a tree, not crouching, you know.
Oh no, that is a nat 1. You know when like people think they're hidden when kids stand behind curtains? That's what you're doing right now.
Yes.
As you stand behind this tree, big sword out, like you're holding it so much that you're able to dick out the sides. What do
And
the
I'm
rest of you do?
I'm probably on the side where the person is coming. So I'm
What do the rest of you do as you see your barbarian jump to action?
I jump the opposite way and I try to find some bushes and I stand in the bushes, but I feel like I'm hidden by them.
Okay,
But can I also, can I make a stealth check, please?
How bad is this party gonna be? Like, okay. On a 25, you become the bush.
Oh,
You are full-blown stealth. You've got dirt on your face. You're Ramboing this. You've got twigs in your hair. You are in this bush. If there, in fact, even your party don't know where you are. They look for a second. Dewey is gone.
Oh, and since I rolled a nat 1, I also have my eyes closed. Because if you close your eyes, they cannot see you.
Yeah. Hey, if I can't see you, you can't see me. Yeah. Okay, what is Prescott doing as this happens?
Prescott would also like to actually hide, but maybe a little bit closer to Bone for when he inevitably needs saving in a moment.
Okay, could you roll a
needs
stealth
saving.
check for me, please? If you get in that one, I might cry.
If I get in that one, I might cry. Let's see.
Okay,
On
yeah,
that
that's you sort of get a tree nearish to Bone, and Bone is like so obvious right now. In fact, if anything, the reason you're that much stealthier is because they're gonna see Bone first.
Also, I need a little bit of shadow on me because that's really
True.
You can have a dramatic like shadow as like firelight casts across it and just about
Thank you,
hides in the
yes.
dark. Yeah. And Zinnia, how are you doing this?
Same sort of taking the cue since we've heard this. I feel like I am trying to gauge which direction the sound came from. I've got a sword and a shield actually, so the shield comes out, the sword, the rapier comes out, and I'll just kind of step into the tree line, into the darkness, and hopefully behind a tree.
Okay, could you roll me a stealth but also a perception check, please, if you're specifically trying to look?
I'm going to continue to ask if I can use my passive, and if not, that's fine, and I'll roll.
Just a general perception,
Okay.
please. But the stealth you do manage to get. Oh my god, this
Nobody realizes how badly Bone is hiding right now.
Oh, I think Prescott does. Like, you, from the position, you're hidden very, very well, Zinnia, but you don't, because of how well you're hidden, you can't quite see. You can hear the footsteps moving, and they seem to be heading kind of like parallel to you. Like they're not heading towards you, they're not headed away, they're very much parallel. And you can hear a very strange humming, as if someone's humming a tune. But it sounds different. It sounds odd. It's almost mechanical. Would anyone else like to try and look?
I have my eyes closed. No one can see me if I can't see them. I rolled a nat 1.
I think Prescott better take a look because he does have dark vision. I better
Bone.
use it for something, right? So let's see.
Okay.
Here's the thing.
Okay. On an 8, I mean, it's better than the last one. You sort of seeing maybe where Zinnia, maybe you're gesturing as to where you can hear it going. And Prescott, you get a look at the footprints on the ground, and these look big, very rounded, kind of like boots, but there's not really a massive sort of sole or anything to them, or a grip. Could you roll me either a history or something? Hang on, I've completely forgotten what else like people have. Let's have a look. You can either roll a history or insight. Insight would also be good.
And who's making this?
You are.
Very good, very good. I was totally paying attention. I'm hoping it's a negative.
Yeah.
Is it? Please. I can't. I move the.
It's a 1. That's a 1.
Nice. That is not a natural 1 though. That is a -1 applied to a 2.
I mean, that makes it so much better. You have not a damn clue what this is. You don't know where you are.
I didn't think I did in the
You're like,
first
do you know
place.
what? I should know this. But for some reason today, it's just not happening.
There's been a lot going on, you know?
And
I always have a -1. I don't think Prescott should always know this. I'm not sure he's really paying attention. His boots are uncomfortable.
yeah, it's just like, there's a stone in your shoe as you try and like move it about. And you hear a voice that definitely spots Bone. And you hear, hello. What are you doing? Are you a dryad?
No.
Then what are you? And there's literally stood right in front of you
Oh my eye.
this massive warforged, which has 2 arms full of what looks like firewood. He seems to be picking it up off of the ground. You see a small sort of squirrel sat on its shoulder. So he looks at you and tips his head. These white sort of eyes flash. The jaw moves up and down as it speaks, always quite creakily. You can see a huge belt across his chest and a massive broadsword across his back.
I look around and see none of my party members. I seem to be alone in the
They
forest.
don't see you either, it's fine.
Crawl right behind Bo.
I'm standing in the forest. What are you doing?
I am collecting firewood. Are you trying to hide?
Am I doing well?
No,
Oh,
I can see you.
I see. I should
It's
get better.
okay. And he sort of like holds this massive like bundle of wood and pats you on the shoulder.
Thank
You
you.
can try harder next time. And he starts to move,
Wait.
pauses, and turns back to you.
What is your
Yes.
name?
My name was given to me by my captain. I am Thomas Meek.
I am Bone.
Nice to meet you. And he just drops all of the sticks and holds out this hefty hand. Like, this is massive.
Bone, as is awkward is as awkward does, just reaches out your hand and shakes.
I must get back to the fire now. And he sort of reaches down. The squirrel sort of runs round the side of his shoulder, hefts it up.
Do you need help?
No, but thank you. As Warforged, we are used to carrying things.
I
Okay,
see.
Prescott's going to step out from behind Bone at this point.
You've just been like hiding behind Bone.
Yep, pretty much. Listen, Thomas, we need to see your captain.
Why?
We're here to stop raiders.
Do you wish to parley?
Are you the raiders?
And he stops for a moment and pauses and puts a hand like just over his chest, having a think. He's like, are raiders a bad thing?
I tell you what, let's go talk to your captain, and we'll see what we work out.
Please follow me. And he starts to walk heavily down this way.
Bone.
Before he walks, can I jump out and try to grasp onto his leg and hitch a ride on his leg?
Sleight of hand check, please.
Okay.
Or just
I
being
also-
awesome check?
I have
That's what that was.
expertise in this, so it's a +2 on top
You
of that.
spring out of being a bush and koala bear around this leg. And he sort of pauses and looks down. Hello. And he continues to walk. What about Zinnia? You're seeing all this happen.
I kind of do like a and I step out. And you said it was actually singing. They were actually singing the Warforged.
Yes, it was more like it was humming some sort
Humming.
of song.
All right, I step out and I go, A flat, right? Key of A flat.
And he looks. I do not know. It is just something my captain hums.
Are there words to it?
And he pauses again. There may be. I'm sorry, I am a little malfunctioning. Sometimes I can't remember the little details.
That's
It's okay.
I suppose we should go.
We will follow you.
Follow me. And he starts to walk through this wood.
Resheath weapons so as not to look threatening.
He's still holding this massive bundle of wood with Dewey attached to his leg. And you get closer and closer. What you can hear seems to be like, I guess, some form of merriment. You can smell this stew pot sort of wafting through the air. It's the just seems to be sort of like a beef and lots of vegetables. It's been stewing a long time. You can see people huddled around the fire with these small pots, scooping this into their mouths. And there's a couple of kegs being tapped as it's being pouring out. As you can see, these huge 3 airships hovering above, basically tethered to the ground. And Thomas strolls through the wood and just drops this big bundle of wood by the fire. And you hear, "Hi, Thomas," like as one of the people walk past as he just continues to walk through. He's like, "Captain, Captain, Captain," as there's a moment, and you see this, what looks like a tent, as this woman steps out. And Prescott, it is the one that cut the rope ladder. This long dark hair. She looks a bit neater now, not quite so I guess worn out and disheveled. But there is a huge black braid that runs down the side of her hair. She's in just a shirt, trousers, got a big scarf tied around her waist, all of these belts around her waist as well, and across back. She has
lots of belts,
daggers, she has blades, she has all of these different things, just what look to be like small vials of things attached. And she turns, she's like, "Yes, Thomas." And as soon as she turns and sees all of you, she does draw one of those blades. And Thomas, come away from them.
We're friends
now. You don't know
now.
who they are. And Thomas looks back and forward to both of you and down at his leg and has a moment where he pauses. "I found them in the forest." And she pauses, looking at mainly that there's one attached to his leg, and resheaths the dagger. And she strolls over, and you can hear a little bit of a jangle as you see some of these beads that are like woven into her hair and also up her arm, which almost look like they've served like a bracer, but is very, very decorative. "What do you want?" You, and he points over at Prescott. "You're not part of my crew, okay? It's not happening."
That's fine. That's a very nice braid you have there. And also, I like the beads. This is a good look.
"Thank you. I like your boots." But it looks down at her own boots. What are you doing here? Why are you here?
I was going to ask you the same thing, but much more pointedly, and with regards to the raiding of that village.
Well, currently, I'm waiting for dinner. Are you going to come and sit and have dinner with us, or?
Obviously, we're going to sit and have dinner with you. Yes.
Then come and sit down and have dinner.
Yes, thank you for the invitation.
Passive aggressive, like as they sort of move over to this campfire where there seems to be like a lot of logs and things that are set up. She angrily scoops like stew into a bowl and shoves it into all of your hands. And there's this ale that is passed around. Some people from like the crew sort of look over and like shift out of the way, like away from all of you. They don't really know what's happening. Hello, readers. Oh, the irony. You sit there round this fire and you feel this warmth, and this stew does taste amazing. She watches you.
Bone stands awkwardly, just awkward standing.
Why? And first of all, she looked. Dewey, are you still attached to Thomas's leg? And it's like, would you? She sort of leans over and rests her like arm on her bent knees. Do you mind unattaching yourself from my first mate, please?
Who's your first mate?
The one you're clinging to.
Oh, my best friend?
Thomas, yes.
Oh, we're best friends. I mean, I
When
would.
did this happen? Like she's looking over at this Warforged. And he looks over, he's like, I think this is how you gain a gnome friend.
It's true. It's very gnomish culture, actually. And this is why we're best friends. They understand me.
Literally a gnome walks behind you, like as like walks past, just looking at the captain like like as you go. There's a really wide variety of people in this. You can see a dwarf that seems to be constantly stirring this huge stew pot. This gnome walks over, gets a bowl, and sits opposite you.
My companion, Zinnia, is very talented.
In
Thank
what
you.
way?
Well, in a lot of ways, really.
Singing.
Thank you.
How do
I'm
you
glad
feel
you
about
agree.
that, Zinnia?
I tend to agree with him. I'm also fairly good with speaking. She says she like trips over her words. Really, we've come here because we have a question for you.
Ask away. She sort of
That's-
like pulls up like her mug of ale and starts to sip from it. You can hear the drums like in the background. Someone seems to be playing some drums near one of the other fires.
It just seems that you've spent an awful lot of time raiding that poor little village, and it seems like there might be more to this than meets the eye, and we're wondering what your side of the story is, and if maybe we could give you a tribute to make you consider raiding someone else, or maybe just not raiding and turning to a life of not crime and hurting people.
We have other village options for you.
Would you like a timeshare?
And she pauses and she's like, what have you been told?
Not a lot, really, other than that you've been raiding every day or so.
For 6 months.
Yes.
Yes, I'm trying to draw out the guards and I need to talk to the mayor.
Why?
Because he's my father and I
Oh.
want to talk to my father.
Why
And-
didn't you just walk into the village?
Because there's a little snake that follows him around and speaks for him, and I've heard he's not well anymore. I have been banished for... I don't even know fully the reason, but my brother disappeared.
I
What
was
do you
wondering why
mean?
he didn't have any children.
He doesn't remember?
He doesn't remember much of anything.
They were going to make me the new mayor. I really don't know that it's appropriate to talk about at this point, but
It doesn't work
They
like
did mention
that.
the
It's
family thing.
inherited. Yeah.
they mentioned
Did-
that. That still
did-
doesn't
did-
sound like a very good way to do it.
I mean, did he adopt you?
There was talk of that.
Bone just looks
He
confused.
he must have really lost his mind. I need to get back as soon as I can.
Can I insight
Ooh.
check?
Yes. Roll me an insight check, please.
I would like to use that advantage
Of course you may.
because I have a 2 insights. I'm really trying really hard though.
I have a
There,
-1
squint
insight.
across the fire. As you sit and squint at her across the fire, she seems earnest. You can see that worry in her eyes, that she's genuinely concerned for her father. And you get the feeling that she definitely doesn't trust Martok. And
Your father is being targeted with ill magics.
that's what happens when he's around. He uses them like a puppet. It happened to my brother, and then my brother got ill, my brother disappeared. And now it seems to be happening to my father. I need to get there. I need to snap him out of it.
What sort of magics have you seen him use?
I don't know. He uses trinkets and strange items that cursed. I don't know. Just things. I don't believe he has any magic of his own, but I could be wrong.
Pull out my pouch and kind of open it up and lean it over so she can look in. like this?
She immediately reaches in and takes it. She was like, why did you take this? This is our family seal. This is the only thing that protects the house.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
We were lied to.
I need to get back to my father as quickly as possible.
In our defense, we tried speaking to you before you left the first time. Are your airships faster than raptors?
Mine is.
I think that seems not the wisest way of doing it. Says a person with 9 wisdom. I think you should just walk in the front door.
And she
We
There's
should-
style to be said, and I think an airship does convey a certain level of gravitas.
Can you get me in? If my men and Warforged and also, hey, a sort of waves to this like female gnome that is like geared out in all of these what looks to be like some form of explosives or different like alchemist like colored things. She's very
Definitely
good at
not that one.
creating distractions. If
Absolutely not.
they create a distraction, can you get me in?
It is.
I think we
Yep.
can just walk you in.
I like put my hands up and I start opening up my pack and I'm pulling out like costumes and a disguise kit. I'm like,
She's
can help
looking
with
at
this.
it like,
if you want to
Um,
walk in, you can't look like you.
Oh,
okay,
I say we take the airship to close
I've-
by because it's
I've-
far away.
I've tried to walk in before, but I can never get into the main house. There's some form of guard up. I don't know if it's
Maybe
don't
you
know.
shouldn't bring that gnome covered with explosives. Maybe that's the problem you're having. I think the 4 of us could probably just walk you in the building.
I mean, she doesn't normally come along. She really wants to. And you can
Terrifying.
see this like gnome wide-eyed staring across at you from here. Just you can hear, I have magic powder.
oh,
And she
I
just
thought Dewey was
throws
scary,
this
but
black
no.
powder into the fire and it goes, you hear a woohoo! It's like this thing just like, it just explodes into color. That's Mary. She's fine. She's fine, really.
Raider
Already
Captain.
gotten up and I've started pulling her hair back to put a wig on her, like getting it braided back and stuff.
We
Raider
take Tom?
Captain Tarkin.
Yes.
How long has this Martok been in your village?
6 or 7 months. He arrived from... Actually, I'm not too sure where he came from. My brother was convinced he came from the woods, said he had dreams about a face, a gnarled up face with red eyes and horns.
He did not look like that.
Do they normally?
He's human, yeah? This guy? And seeming human?
Oh, he looked human.
Sorry. I don't know how humans normally look, but this one did not have horns.
Like me and your friend here.
Oh.
This is what we normally look like.
So, horns is not normal, and red eyes.
No.
But there are many things that can disguise a person, and not just this. As I start putting makeup on her to make her look
Yeah.
different.
She's sort of talking whilst you're doing this. She's just letting you do it. She's more like glancing over at Mary every now and again as she sort of shiftily moves closer to the group. And you hear Mira just sort of chatter like, not now, Mary. Like sort of, Thomas needs help. Like, and Thomas looks, if a Warforged could look mildly shocked, then that's what he looks like. As Mary sort of tries to lead him away, and he's like, I don't want any of my men or any of my crew hurt, so we're just going to take me.
That's the best plan, Captain. I mean, we got here without anyone getting hurt.
I don't want anyone in the village hurt either. They're my
Well,
family.
we didn't hurt anyone in the village either. We're quite good at this.
Yes.
Then we should go. We should go now.
Yes.
Okay, right. Then let's
Wait.
Let's go. What? What is there to wait for?
Raider Captain Tarkin,
Yes.
are you lying to us?
Oh,
No.
she's not lying.
Okay.
I
I
can
realized we should have asked Martok that, but we didn't. And that's how we got into this trouble.
I did ask him if he was a raider.
You did.
And
What's
he
the truth
is
for
in
you?
his own way.
He lied to us. We have raptors.
Okay, then that's how we do it. And Zinnia, how have you made this captain look?
So I've got this short, blonde, curly wig, and like if you can think of like the Shakespearean like stage outfits that they would wear, like male presenting. So I've basically got this really like curly moppy wig on her, and like male presenting clothing, maybe a little bit of like binding going on as I'm just like cinching things up while they're talking, and like handing her clothing. So it's trying to make her look as different as possible, basically.
Yeah, no, you can do it. Like I almost had in my head, you know, those inflatable T-Rex costumes. If you had a raptor version of it.
I do have a costume. I didn't think that would be what came with the entertainer's pack.
Come on in.
This is the one I left on.
You can absolutely could you roll me a stealth check purely just to see the level of this disguise?
I do have it set up to roll the disguise kit, if that's okay.
Yeah, no, go for it.
That's better than my stealth, so.
It is.
Oh wait, was I rolling with advantage? Well, oops, 8.
You
Dang
have
it.
an advantage if you would like to use it. I'll allow that you can use it if you wish. So.
Oh, did I get another one? I thought I used that for the insight check.
I think everyone got.
Okay, if I have another one, then
yeah,
14.
I think everyone got another one. So on a 14,
I've got
yeah, she looks pretty good. She looks like she doesn't wish them. Look how she did before, and it's not like if you got really close up to her, you'd be able to see it for sure.
I pull
But
cloak out.
otherwise, yeah.
I did my
And
best.
there is a moment where she pauses, and as you sort of head back through the woods, you come back to the raptors. And you can all climb back onto the raptors. Whose raptor is she going on as well? And Dewey, I'm not saying that you can't. It's this raptor maybe pushing it.
I think she's coming with me.
Yeah, she swings on with ease, and she sort of wraps her arms around your waist and holds on, and she almost whistles, and all of the raptors turn, and they start to move in that direction.
I lean over to Dewey and I say, I think she's done this before.
Yeah, I don't like it. She's better than me. But don't tell her that.
Dewey, you are excellent.
Uh-oh, Dewey's got a new best friend. And you all sprint off on these raptors. They head through fast. You can the sun has gone down. It is nighttime. You can see the torches being lit out in this village. They see you coming, and the gates start to open as Martok stands waiting at the gates as you arrive. How do you arrive?
Like normal or awkwardly, but which is like normal.
He sees you arrive, and he's like, "Did you do it? Did you stop them? Who is this?" And Zinnia, you can feel Mira really hesitating to go for the blade that is currently in her boot.
We actually found a survivor. They've been taken care of, and we thought we'd bring them back here and perhaps give them a place to stay for the night so they can rest up and take off to go wherever it was they were going.
A survivor? Have they been kidnapping?
From other towns, yes.
You see a confusion wash across his face, which is far more obvious now.
And he walks over.
Sorry, go on.
No, go ahead. And he walks over. I was going to try to interrupt him.
You can interrupt him.
Listen, Martok, didn't you say something about a certain number of gold per head? Well, we've collected quite a few heads, and take us to your gold. If if Alice froze, it's just funny, but she'll be back in a moment.
That's the best frozen face ever.
Alice is
Cat-
very good at that.
Am I back? This happens.
You're back.
This is so
You're back.
annoying.
It was a great look
this
of
time?
shock. It was a great look of shock.
I
You
mean,
gotta watch it
both-
later.
I was gonna say, I mean, both Sammy and Hans have seen some awful shock faces of me when it freezes. So how did it compare? So,
It was good. It was very good.
you can interrupt Martok if you would like.
Martok, we were told there was going to be a certain allowance of gold given to us per head, and we have collected a lot of heads. So take us to your gold.
And he pauses, and his eyes do linger on the woman on the back of Zinnia's raptor. who
To
just
make a
sort of
distraction,
tucks
like-
away.
I get off the raptor, and I'm sure it will not be elegant, but it will be distracting because, you know,
Dexterity save. Wait,
well,
you're getting better at this. Like, it's not so much like a fall off. You get off, you get your foot stuck in the stirrup, and you sort of hop a little bit. And he looks over at you. He's like, "Please, this way." And you see Martha sort of hurrying along. She's not really interested, but you can see her heading towards the main house. And you can all get off these raptors. Martha comes back, takes them away from you, and looks very pleased that you're back, and starts to take them back to the stables as you are led towards the main house, where you do see some of the families have gathered around the main fire. It tends to happen, especially in case raids are going on. And he walks all of you in, and I'm going to need you all to make one more deception check as you see that Mira tries to cross the barrier. And you can see suspicion in Martuk's eyes.
I feel like I'm just standing here. I feel like I'm not even being deceptive. I'm just standing here awkwardly, saying nothing.
This is-
Or you can use perception as well to see, or insight to see if you can work out what he is thinking.
the deception is the only thing I care about being good at, so I will use my advantage on it.
Okay.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm very glad.
You literally says the only thing I'm good at.
The only thing I care about being good at.
Care about being good at.
That's perfect.
A 14, you can look mildly shifty, but it seems to be fine. If anything, you look more intrigued that you want to go to the gold.
You don't have to call me out, Alice. I know I'm fine.
You look more intrigued by the gold rather than actually going, oh my gosh.
I'm doing no
you.
deceiving at all, but I will perceive.
Yeah, you can perceive.
I was trying to do like you look so glum. This is good news. Obviously, he's not taking it very well.
Yeah, he's looking at you very intensely.
I'm just
And
going to whisper,
Bone-
look, you can just give me their gold. It's okay. They don't actually know anything. I will hold it for them.
And he pauses. And he looks at Zinnia. And he looks to Dewey.
Looking at there.
Something is different as he looks over to where Mira is. And Bone, on that perception check, you see his eyes flash red.
That's bad. It's just noting it. I'm just noting that it's bad. So how close are we to the house?
You are effectively coming up to the doorway, and he does pause. And
Can I ask about his accent?
Yeah.
This is like an olden time place. People don't move around as much. Does he have a recognizable regional accent?
It seems to be a pretty regional accent. It sounds native to Sharn, at least.
Okay. And then I say, Mr. Martok, how long have you been here? I'm trying to like make small talk as we are moving on.
He watches you the entire time, mainly keeping focused on Zinnia and Dewey, as they look pretty nervous. You failed your deception, don't you get like that? Sorry. And he watches you, and he leans in close to you, Bone. I have been here for around 7 to 8 months. Bless you.
I have not been in the company of people for many years. I am awkward. Thank you for your hospitality.
So, one, thank you. However, by bringing hostility forward, is that really respecting my hospitality?
I am not hostile.
No, she is. And he points over at Mira.
She is not hostile.
You bring the mayor's daughter into the village, and she freezes. Like, you know, you feel her freeze behind you. And she breaks into a run. She throws off the wig and the cape and everything and starts making a run for it. As I need you all to roll initiative as Martuk starts to
I was
shift.
trying so hard.
These red eyes start to flash as the clothes he's wearing almost melt away into these long, haggard robes. This very almost worn, reddish, worn out skin. Very mottled, huge ram horns come up the back because he sort of grows a foot in height, and these 4-fingered hands with long claws on the end. And let's see what the initiative is. I should probably roll for him as well. Okay, so we go. Sammy, did you roll?
I thought I did. Did I not?
I don't think it's come through that.
I'll roll again. Well,
Oh,
that was
wow.
better than what I thought I rolled last time, so I'll take it.
Okay, so just write this down. Okay, so Dewey, it is your turn first. What do you do as you hear a lot of screaming suddenly comes from inside the house as Mira goes sprinting in, throwing everything off, running towards her father, and Martuk transforming into this dusk hag, something you've heard about that lurks in the forests and tends to prey on either ill or weak situations effectively. What would you like to do as it stands between you and the door?
Yeah, so how does it so it is standing, right? Like it's on the ground?
It's oh yeah, no, it's standing. The only thing is it's watching you, and you see it slowly raise a finger to its lips.
That's rude.
Yeah.
Or ominous.
Excuse me, do not tell me to shut up. How far away is he from me?
He's right in front of all of you.
Okay, so I would like to reach into my my pack, and I have a bunch of ball bearings, and why would I not use the ball bearings? Like, just throw them out and try to throw them in front of him or in his area, essentially. Which I'm pretty sure is probably yeah. Do you need me to roll anything for that?
I think. Do I have to roll anything to counter?
I don't know. I'm using an object.
Oh, okay,
it's
okay.
literally ball
is,
bearings.
for them to reach out to you, I'll say they attack with disadvantage. So you've opened this pouch and you've thrown these little almost like metal balls that go rolling across. I will say, however, if anyone else is to cross them to hit, you will also be doing it with disadvantage. But this thing looks down as they start to pull around its feet. And Bone, it is your turn.
I am going to sort of draw off my sword, a large, long sword. And I'm going to say, I'm going to say something and then hold my action. I'm going to say, Martok, if that is your name, we don't need to do this. Stand down. We can talk this through, or else you'll make me angry. And you wouldn't like me when I'm angry. So I'm going to hold my action. If they move to attack anyone, then I will strike them.
Okay, we'll keep that as a held action. Then we're going to move down to Prescott. And this thing is like slowly just like leering towards you. It's very hunched. It doesn't stand upright. You imagine if it did stand upright, it'd be really, really tall.
Prescott turns to Bone and says, Bone, this creature has been poisoning the mayor for 6 months. How much longer are you going to wait to do something? And that's not pointed at Trooper person. Just, that's where Prescott's at. He's had it right now. He's got like a little ball of shadow in his hand, and when he pulls it out like this, he has a long sword that's made of shadow as he casts Shadow Blade.
Mm-hmm.
And now he is going to do that as a bonus action and then run forward and Shadow Blade this guy, and at disadvantage because that's part of the fun, right? So do you want me to drop Shadow Blade in the chat, or shall we just go for the actual attack?
Go for the attack. I think I remember Shadow Blade. I can't remember.
Since I do some stuff, and I think I unfortunately attached it all to this attack, so when I roll this, it'll all come through anyways.
That's fine. Yeah, that's a hit.
Come on, buttons.
So if you roll the damage for me, please.
So I just right click here, yeah. Let's see if
Nice.
I did this part right.
Woo!
A little bit.
Yeah, you sort of, as you draw this blade out, there's a flash of sort of light and dark. It's almost like where shadow meets light as it slashes down. And you hear this creature scream as it recoils, sort of putting its hands in front of its face. And you can see a darkness start to grow around its feet. It is now the creature's turn and has to attack with disadvantage.
If it's going to attack, I get to attack it.
Yes,
'Cause
go for it.
What is it going to do? Who's it going to hurt? I don't like that.
It is currently I'm going for Prescott because Prescott just hit it. So it looks like it's about to just out of a panic slash out with these claws.
It cannot hurt my friends. And so I just get really cold and intense and just move in to sort of do a strike at it to try to stop it from hurting my friend.
Mm-hmm.
No,
For me.
with the blade in both hands. No hurting of friends. It's not allowed.
Yep,
16.
That hits. Roll damage for me, please.
And I should also, yes, because I'm not raging at the moment. 11 points of damage.
Okay.
And Bone is not super strong or super dexterous or like this impressive specimen of martial prowess, but just quite earnest and just moves in there to sort of slice at this hand before it can hit Prescott.
Yeah, you move in and you just slash down. This is a long sword, so it reaches across. And again, it yells as it has made itself almost vulnerable, lifting its claws up. As it does reach out and attack Prescott with it does it with disadvantage. It rolls. You see it as it's raised its arms, it gets slashed by Bone, and stepping on those ball bearings, it starts to stumble with this shadow whirling around its feet. Zinnia, what would you like to do?
So as Bone starts to make her attack, then I will reach forward kind of like from behind and touch her on the shoulder and say, we'll be their heroes. We'll be the heroes they need before the end of the night. And I'm going to upcast heroism at a second level on both Bone and myself as I draw out a shield.
Perfect.
What will heroin give us?
Heroism, I'll put it in the chat right now. You can't be frightened, and you will have temporary hit points equal to 3 at the beginning of each of your turns, as long as I can maintain concentration.
Oh, nice.
Okay. It is back to Dewey's turn. You have just felt this inspiration of heroism. come to you, and you've just seen this thing has sort of lost its balance, this shadow swirling around it, and it's just been struck pretty hard by Bone.
Sorry. Okay. I was trying to read what it said on the thing. And I still don't know what it says. Anyway, so I would like to draw out my rapier now.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to hit it with my rapier.
Roll a disadvantage, please, as you have to cross your own ball bearings.
I'm fine with this. I'm absolutely fine rolling at disadvantage.
That hits.
Oh, perfect.
Just hits.
Do I get sneak attack damage for this? Is it with?
I'd say yes, because it's now like all over the place, and you can. It's sort of now looking towards Zinnia and the direction of Bone as well.
Oh, it's a 1d6. Okay. So is it a /R or is it -R in to roll in roll 20? /R. Thank you. 7 + 5.
12.
Thank you.
I was like, it's cool.
And can I bonus action disengage and back up? Like 5 feet.
You can back away from the ball bearings. You basically lunge in and you run this creature through the shot. No, hang on, you're a gnome. You go straight through the thigh.
I was thinking, can I get like the ankles?
And you withdraw it very quickly as you take a step back. Bone, it is your turn.
Oh, that's me. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I say, you were supposed to stand down. And I just rage. But it's not a hot rage, it's a cold rage. It's that very, like, the eyes flash and everything becomes a kind of a bit of a tunnel vision and just more intense. And I just stand up, making sure that I can sort of protect as many people as possible and move my longsword right towards its midsection, hoping to have it stop hitting my friends.
Roll for me. That does not hit, I'm afraid. It sort of like moves slightly out of the way just in time, and it sort of recoils back and just hisses at you.
Well, that's fine, because I think I can I can strike again for my bonus action.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm raging. And so I swing the blade around the other direction, hoping to catch it, and I do not, because there are ball bearings everywhere. And
you sort of like do a Tom and Jerry run on the spot for a second as you spin round. It just keeps you off guard just for a moment. And it is Prescott's turn.
But I just say, look at me, right, to try to keep
it does leer towards you, and you hear that hiss, and you see that flare of those red eyes.
Perhaps a bad idea.
So Prescott's going to do a couple things. So he's got a bonus action, so I'm going to do a Hunter's Mark, because that's part of my being a mark of finding orc, half orc. So I'm just finding that spell, and I'm going to push that button. And then, I don't know if that actually did anything. I don't, it says 1. Okay, good. So with that, I have done 1 Hunter's Mark, and apparently that's my 1 Hunter's Mark damage should I succeed in anything else, but I'm going to just do another Shadow Blade.
Okay, go for it.
Yep. And I really, one of these days, will be better at navigating this sheet quickly. Here we go.
That doesn't hit.
It
Again,
does not
those
look great.
ball bearings, as you swipe down, where it literally, as you're swiping, is when Bone is yelling at it to look at him, and it turns just at that moment as you slice through. That shadow's still growing around its feet. Would you like to do anything else?
That seems distressing. It's fine.
Yep.
Sure.
No, I'll just stay right where I am, doing the exact same thing.
Okay. It is going to lash out towards Bone. Roll with disadvantage. I'm assuming an 8 doesn't hit.
No.
Yeah, it's going into like a frenzy now, but like a confused frenzy. It is slashing. There's that snarl. You can see that drool just coming down the side of those big teeth, like sort of down the side, and it is getting angry, and those eyes are flashing. Zinnia, what would you like to do?
I'm going to draw my rapier and ask everyone, should I get rid of these ball bearings as I make my attack?
Roll with disadvantage, please.
Oh no, it was gonna be so good.
It's those ball bearings.
Is there anything else you'd like to do as you swing and you just miss? If anything, you chop off some of the some of this hag's like clothing as it drops down to the floor.
I'll turn to Prescott and I'll say, I think the two of you have a similar theme going. Wouldn't you? Sorry. I believe you can overcome, though. I'm going to inspire you.
Oh,
The D6.
And
thank you.
We are back up to Dewey's turn.
Oh,
You've
it's
just
Dewey's
backed
turn.
right up. You've done a bit of a jab, like a jabber, and then you've backed up.
Yeah. Go away. Yeah, that's a very Dewey thing
Like,
to
oh,
do.
it bites. Like,
Yep. You know, I'm gonna spice things up and do the exact same thing again. So I will.
it
That was gonna
hits.
be a natural.
Even on a
Okay.
disadvantage, it does hit.
It's good. And plus the sneak still.
Oh yeah, it's looking right at bone right now. So
Okay, so 10 points of damages, and
with you and your ball bearings, how would you like to kill this creature?
oh my gosh! So Dewey's gonna go up and like, just right in the thigh. I mean, not the thigh, the shin.
You're just going for the legs.
Yeah, and like he just wants to like go and just like slash right through. It hurts. I don't know if I've ever hit there. It
Shins are painful.
Yeah.
They are. And so he just goes and like slashes. And he's like, and he just is like, I knew you were a raider.
And you slash at this creature, and as you do, it falls to its knees and lets out a cry. And as its hands touch the floor of these claws, you see this shadow around its feet. It almost becomes almost like it's sticky, like it's drawing it in as it slowly starts to disappear into this shadow, as it becomes this strange. You just hear the sound, and it seems to echo through the whole village, as if you almost have to clamp your hands over your ears as this makes this horrible screech. And you are out of initiative.
You're welcome.
Well done, Dewey. Yes.
Is everyone all right?
We should go check on them, and I'll start to head towards the house.
Oh, be careful of the ball bearings.
Yeah, kind of like.
Yeah.
Can I pick them? Can I go pick them up?
Deck save. I want to see you get across these ball bearings.
Oh, it's a 19. Unless I'm rolling at disadvantage. 'Cause I
I'll let
actually
you know
still
it's a
had
deck
disadvantage
save.
on.
It can be a 19. You almost
Okay.
glide across these. Your foot hits them, and you just
Someone's got some decks
skate
over
your
there.
way, like across the other side through the door. You can kick them aside afterwards as well, so others don't. You walk into this townhouse that people look very scared. They've just seen who they thought was one of the people protecting now turn into this hideous creature, probably of like childhood nightmare stories. And you can run, all of you, into the next room behind that throne, and you can see Mira in her normal sort of look. Wig is gone, everything, and there is, you can see her kneeling down by her father, who is slowly turning back into this younger man. You see his skin sort of almost like flatten out of the wrinkles. There's still like laughter lines and crow's feet around his eyes and his mouth, these big smile lines. His hair is still sort of salt and pepper gray rather than just white. And you don't hear that wheezy breathing anymore. And he looks up to you, and he's holding very tightly onto his daughter's hand, and he rushes over to all of you. It's almost like goes to shake your hand, pulls you in, gives you a hearty slap on the back, and you suddenly realize probably actually how healthy this man should have been. He's big, he is broad when he stands upright and not hunched over, and he's like, thank you, my friends, thank you. And he's, and he's got his daughter, taking her by the shoulders, very, very happy, like giving her a kiss on each cheek and a big hug. Like, it's almost as if things have started to slowly come back to him. As he turns, and he's like, you brought my daughter back. You made everything well again. You must stay for food, for a feast tonight. We'll send for your crew. Is that what you're calling them now? And she's just like, it's my crew, Dad. It's
it's not a phase, Dad.
Yeah.
Think you have much food here?
No, but we do. As Mira looks a little bit ashamed. I can get people to bring it over. And yes.
Is Thomas coming? Can Thomas bring it over?
That evening, as you all settle, the airships arrive. Thomas walks in with this huge cook pot. He looks very happy with himself, and he plonks it down at the center. It's a very humble meal. It is just this stew. But it is this mayor seems to greet every crew member as if they were family, as if he has known them, he recognizes them again. His daughter, still in the clothing you first met her in, the only thing is she's acquired a very long jacket that she seems to be wearing with the symbol of her house on. And she's smiling as she looks around. You see Thomas sort of standing next to her, a hand on her shoulder. Before he moves around and starts, you see some of the kids trying to jump around him and play. He doesn't know what to do. He's just picking them up and moving them. And they're squealing with delight at this. And after this feast, this music, this
Bone uses prestidigitation to make the stew even tastier.
Thomas turns around. Is there something wrong with my cooking?
No, but it could be more cayenne.
And he tips his head to look at you and just nods. Cayenne. Like dips into this thing and continues to portion it up. And you sleep very well. You are welcome to stay, as it is still the evening. A feast is had. And you are all set the next day, being only about just over half a day away from Sharn, as you see those huge, towering walls of Sharn almost cast a shadow over some of these plains. You can see all of the elaborate banners and things hanging down as you meet all of this. All range of people going through these huge, big clocks seem to be chiming. Some of those strange, almost rabbit-like creatures seem to be sort of murmuring over the top. You see lots of Warforged moving, helping move some of the stalls and markets. It's full of life, and it's full of food, and it's full of music. And that's where we'll leave it this week, as we are running out of time, I'm afraid.
And Bone just looks nervous because that's a really big city. It's been a while, and just stands closer to Dewey.
Oh, it's the biggest city in Corvair, so you picked a good one. So we are going to head round and love to say maybe what your favorite bit was, and also where we can find you again. So we will go in reverse order this time. So we're going to start with Sammy. Oh, hi. Pressure.
Oh, that's me. Yeah. Oh, I didn't get nervous all of a sudden. You did. I'm Sammy. You can find me on Twitter, smallish Sam. You can find me here on Thursdays starting in 2 weeks I think it's 2 weeks, with Alice again torturing me, and I will be with my lovely partner Kelly, and then some other people.
We love Kelly.
Yes, she shouts me out every time, so I have to shout her out. Everybody go tell her I shouted her out. Great girlfriend, obviously. But yeah, that's all. Oh, my favorite part. Thomas.
Oh, hello, Raiders. Sorry, we are just wrapping up, but thank you. Welcome. Thomas is a very good Warforged, even if he is mildly malfunctional.
Only mildly, though.
Oh, yes.
He's malfunctional in all the best ways. I love him, and there was definitely like a small little tear as Dewey left Thomas.
Well, there's lots of more Warforged in Sharn that you can probably have the opportunity to meet. No, it's not the same as Thomas, I understand. I'm just saying. More friends to be had. And then we're gonna hop down to Trooper. Oh, hi, thank you for joining us.
It was lovely being here. I'm Trooper SJP, and you can find me on Twitch at Trooper SJP or on the Twitter at Academic Foxhole. And my favorite part, like the best part was when Sammy is like, no, this is totally how gnomes make friends. And then there's the gnome in the background going, no. That was the best part because, like, I've totally been there. I just love that. And you're like, no, that is just not true. I love that. I think I'll remember that forever. And I just be happy about it forever.
I'm so glad. Thank you for going to join us because I loved Bone. I thought he was brilliant with his fear of riding and everything. So, and then we're gonna hop over to lovely Katie. Oh, hi! Thank you for joining us. I also loved your singing because my goodness.
Oh yes.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, I love it.
Hi, I'm Katie Quixotic. I'm on Twitter and Twitch and everywhere, but mostly just Twitter and Twitch. Is Katie Quixotic. For some reason, nobody uses Quixotic in their username. It's just always there for me. I don't know. Yeah, my favorite part was getting on the Raptors and Thomas, but getting on the Raptors was hilarious watching everybody how they approached it differently. And Dewey in general was just a pleasure. But yeah, so, and it was fun to come and play here finally. So
thank you, even if it was very last minute of come play. So thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for hopping on board straight away.
try our best.
And last but certainly not least, the very lovely Hans. Oh, hi.
Hey, so I have this theory that if I don't say my favorite part, the stream has to continue until I do. So we can just keep playing with these same characters and no one will ever notice. I honestly don't have a single favorite part because it was just so much fun. I'm really glad that I got to play with everybody and the characters were all a delight and amazing time. Just so much fun. I do want to point out that Alice has a Patreon. That could be my favorite part. And I'll pass on her.
But Alice doesn't live here anymore.
Yeah.
Sorry, just busting out my old 1970s feminist films. It's cool. Don't worry about it.
Anyway, thank you so much. Before we close up, please check out the links of our Discord. I think you can go yell about this in the Hicker Guard or social chat because I know this was an odd one shot. So thank you for everyone for adapting to that very quickly as well. Also, if you miss anything, please go check out on YouTube. I did forget myself. I'm White Rabbit Pig. This is why Hans is here. I'm White Rabbit Pig on Twitter. I do have a Patreon. I'm a photographer. I'm also a DM and player for this channel. Also, a huge thank you to our wonderful sponsors in the form of Hero Forge. Their Black Friday started yesterday, and using the code Scratticus, you can get your first you can get $5 off of your first mini. It is addictive. I've done it for all my characters. So yeah, spend a lot of time doing it. It's really, really good. Also, the wonderful Mayhem Press, their Dark Matter is on pre-order now, and everyone knows how much I love Mayhem Press and D&D in space. So please go and check that out as well. And of course, the Deck of Many, where you can go and find Humblewood, which is now being, I think it's all been released, it's all being delivered. They're all arriving now. They're gorgeous. I love it. And also the Moving Magic cards, which are amazing. Otherwise, I love Eberron so much, so thank you for everyone coming and check this out. I will hopefully run more in the future. Otherwise, keep evoking emotions, and we'll see you all later. Bye.